And good afternoon, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of Beyond the Field, Bravo Tango Foxtrot. Today, this Tuesday, almost at noon, we have Don and Jackie Clark from Redline. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thanks so
Awesome.
much for having
Great.
us.
Hey, thank you for being on. Again, this is Beyond the Field sublet of the Hustlers Huddle, episode 2. Kind of took a COVID break, and we're picking up where we left off after that. So, guys are doing well today. Tell us a little bit about each of your backgrounds, first of all. So, ladies first.
All right.
Yeah.
I grew up in Northwest Indiana.
Okay.
Came from a basketball family
Okay.
in the basketball state.
Yeah.
My dad is still a coach at our high school. He's the varsity girls basketball coach, varsity
Oh, wow.
boys baseball coach at our 5A high school. 50 plus years. So
One
I,
job, 50 plus years.
you got
Yeah,
it.
he's been there a long time. He's like 75, 76 now.
So
Still coaching.
I'm gonna go on a limb. He's never had to write a resume.
I don't think so. He wouldn't know what it is.
Right,
so-
one job,
Maybe
50
not one.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
So,
Yeah.
so I've got three sisters. We all played for my dad at our local high school. Background on him, he played baseball at Indiana University as well as basketball. He's a 6'5" lefty pitcher.
Oh
So
man.
we were very into sports growing up, and I fell in love with basketball. Obviously played for him,
Yeah.
and went on and was able to play at Colorado State for 4 years. Had a great experience there, and
Outstanding. So he was a baseball basketball combination
Yeah, in the 60s.
in the 60s. That's rare. That's
Pretty
rare.
cool.
That's and so you have two sisters. Are you oldest, youngest?
I've got three sisters.
Three
I,
sisters,
I'm
oh, okay.
the third.
The third. Okay.
Yes.
So two, then you, then one youngest.
You got it.
All competitive.
Yep,
All athletic.
We all played basketball. My one sister that's just 3 years older than me, she played in college also,
Okay.
and then a little bit professionally when she was done. So
Competitive household. And what about you, Mr.
Yeah,
Clark?
yeah.
I know a little bit about your background, but go
Sure,
ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So I also grew up in Northwest Indiana.
Okay.
And I played really everything growing up. My dad was also a coach. And so football ended up being my sport. I was kind of a track football guy. I was
Gotcha.
a high jumper, sprinter. And I ended up going on to play football at the Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
All 4 years. I was a running back. And so I had a great experience there and got to coach and play under Coach Fisher DeBerry, who's
Yeah.
the winningest Service Academy coach.
Sure.
And so he was an awesome mentor and a lot of the reason that I chose to go there. So had a great experience and we've been married 15 years.
Excellent. I was about to
Now,
ask.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How did
we-
you guys meet?
Oh man, you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really
I
cool.
always like to hear the ladies' point of
it's
view.
a long story.
We can go short version though.
Well, we can also go back to we went to rival high schools.
Okay. Okay. This is getting good.
So-
Same conference,
Okay.
rivals.
I
yeah.
watched him, he watched me, but we didn't know each other. And actually, the 1 year in high school that I decided to be a high jumper
Uh huh.
because I thought that would help me with basketball.
Yeah.
We were at the same indoor track meet at Purdue University, and I remember watching him high jump, and I was like, wow, that dude can jump really high.
Yeah.
He's not super tall. And I remember,
But he could jump.
Come on.
But he could
I
jump
remember-
high. Yeah.
But he like stood out to me, and who knew that
And then that was the beginning of it.
that was junior year in high school, and he obviously went to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I
Yeah.
was in Fort Collins in Colorado State. We again watched each other.
We
Play,
never met.
But never met. And
I love it.
long story short, we met after a football game in Northwestern and exchanged
Information, yeah.
and did a long distance thing for a year. and
Yeah.
married.
And then
So
there you
it
go.
Yeah.
all
There you
worked
go.
out.
One thing I think that's really interesting about each of your backstories, both of your fathers were coaches.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that. Did you guys find that a source of commonality that you could relate to each other easily? And how were your fathers alike and different?
Yeah.
Just as you guys got to know each other, both of your fathers are coaches. Was one more a disciplinarian, one more laid back? Explore those conversations a little bit.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I don't know that we've ever really talked about this.
Oh,
either,
okay.
Dario. Man, you're good at this.
Yeah.
I think there's also a difference in dad-daughter relationship.
Very good point. Yeah,
versus
yeah,
father son. I can imagine.
yeah, absolutely.
My dad is more of a laid back personality.
Okay,
Um, however, in his own way, you didn't always do things right. It was
yeah,
just a very high standard of,
gotcha.
that was all right, but you also could have done this.
Yeah, yeah,
So just a very high expectation as his daughter compared to the rest of the team was, um, but a very laid back, not intense
gotcha.
or kind of coaching style.
And what about you, Don? Like, how was
Yeah.
your dad? And
Yeah, he was more. He coached me when I was a little bit younger, more like middle school
yeah,
age, and so his coaching of me in high school when I started to get a little bit more advanced was more like in the car at home kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And I wouldn't describe him as laid back at all.
Okay.
It was pretty direct kind of style. And one thing amazing about my dad is he was able to push my buttons that no one else even kind of realized.
yeah. Did you have siblings as well?
Yeah, I
Brothers,
have one
sisters?
brother that's
Okay.
older than me that was
Okay.
more of a basketball player,
Gotcha.
track guy. And so yeah, I mean, great relationship with my dad growing up. But he was always the one, he never let me get, big headed or feeling
Sure,
like I had
sure.
arrived. No matter how well I played, it was always like bringing it back to what
So-
could have been done.
So that's where you guys are similar, and that may be an unconscious commonality you guys have as a couple and business owners. And before we got on camera, you said Redline is 2 years old.
Yeah.
So as former athletes and competitors, what got you to that point to want to have a business to empower young men and women athletically?
Yeah.
Tell us about that story.
Well, shoot, I think, first of all, we have 4 kids.
Yeah,
and
there
so
you go.
our kids was a big part of it. And for us, athletics has always been just a daily life lesson.
Got
And
it.
there's such a microcosm in sports for life. And we talk about
I
that with
agree.
our kids all the time. And so we just saw an opportunity to make an impact. I think that's the biggest thing is to make an impact. And it was to make an impact on our own kids and our own family
Mm-hmm.
to, try to excel and get better and work hard.
Right.
But then also our kids to understand what it's like to create and provide value for people,
Mm-hmm.
and then make an impact on our community and make an impact
Absolutely.
on young athletes. And we just believe, as former athletes, as parents, that sports really matter. And it's
Right.
not just the score, it's not just
Right.
your stats, but sports matter because all that's learned and revealed on that field of play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you can get all grandiose about it, but my gosh, most of the life lessons that I learned on the field.
Right.
And I learned, falling down and having to struggle for that spot or on that play, making mistakes and coming back. And so that's what we talked about a lot in our journey thus far with Redline.
Yeah.
And the experiences that sports have allowed us to have in life that not everybody gets to. I'm from a small town in Indiana and
Yeah.
didn't travel much.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went out to Colorado, I mean, wide eyes, like, wow, this is amazing.
This is
to
big
be a part
time.
of this and all the places we were able
Yeah.
to go because of
What
athletics.
what came before Redline? What was the focus then? I mean, was it an independently owned gym? What's that story before Redline?
Well, I mean, so I was after the Air Force Academy, I coached for a year, and then I was on
Okay.
active duty.
Gotcha.
And then, we moved to San Antonio for a job I had at USAA. I was there for almost 15 years.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And so, I had kind of this corporate career, but at the same time, our kids were getting older.
yeah.
We were coaching up our kids, and sports was a big thing. And we just sort of
Yeah, what was that tipping point?
Yeah,
to get to leave USAA and
Yeah.
this is my passion. We have 4 kids. I want to empower other young men. And what was that tipping point?
So talk a little bit about Cadence. Our oldest, I think she might have been 9 or 10 at the time, and we were wanting to work with her on basketball.
Yeah, we asked her season after season, hey, you want to play basketball?
Yeah.
Nope. Want to play basketball? Nope.
No.
That first day she said yes, we signed her up and we got her on a team, and it was very eye-opening. Just athletically, the skills will come, but
Right.
what would help her be a better basketball player was her athleticism. And so we just started exploring different options, and so that's kind of where it started out.
Yeah, that was kind of like the seed of what really started it. But So we had a friend who had mentioned Redline to us, and just the fact that this brand existed, that it's a national brand,
Right,
franchise locations all over the country. And I started to do a little bit of due diligence, and it's kind of an interesting story. So we were thinking about it, we were talking about it, we were praying about it. I've got a good buddy of mine. His name is Steve Collins, and he does sort of these videos that happen. He used to do one every single day, and he did that for like 5 years running. And it's it's a lot of big life type thinking, a lot of faith-based stuff.
Right.
And one of the interesting things is we were sort of doing due diligence, but sort of waiting for a moment to actually make a decision.
Sure.
And so one morning I'm listening to Steve's video,
And what year is this?
this is in 2017.
2017. Okay.
So, and that day, he was just talking about, you faith-based people who are sort of on the fringe of making a big decision, but you're not making it because you're waiting for a sign.
Yeah.
You're waiting for a sign. That's the big thing you should do, right? And that's kind of exactly where we were. So I remember I was in my car, and I'm kind of like sitting up in my seat, going like, gosh, that's me. And he goes, well, I got a gift for you today. And he takes out an index card and puts it in front of the camera, and it says, your sign. And because the camera is flipped, he actually had to write it backwards. Almost like the mirror image.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's given that to me now, and I have it. And so
Wow.
that moment, I got a hold of her and talked to my buddy Steve. I'm like, man, that was really impactful for me. And that day, we said, like, you know what? We're just going to do it. Like, let's just decide.
Let's just do it.
We're going to do it. So, that was middle of 2017. We signed our franchise agreement in September, our lease in November, and we opened in the summer of 18.
See, that's what I love hearing stories like that. Faith-based. Your oldest daughter, basketball. Okay, and so on and so forth, and just how have the first 2 years been? Have you met expectations, exceeded, and where do you see it going in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. Well, and I'll start on that one. I don't know that we'll ever meet our expectations.
Just like your
sure,
fathers.
But
just like the dad coaches.
It's been amazing. Our big prayer with this was that our lives would be bigger and enhanced.
Yeah.
And I just think about all the people that we know,
Yeah.
and the people we've been able to get to know their kids and impact their lives and just help their kids. We talk a lot about character and confidence and community as some core aspects of what we really want to stand for. And sure, athleticism and getting faster and quicker and better footwork and stronger and more explosive, all those things are measurable, and that's what we do at its core. But really, the byproduct of all that work is confidence, and it's character, and it's the community that we've created at Redline.
That's your new shirt.
No doubt.
That's a new Redline shirt.
That's right.
I'm telling you.
So I think that aspect of it it's been amazing, and we've learned a lot about being business owners and doing that with crazy hectic lives too. And so we tag team a lot, and she's got a bus service for our 4 kids going all over the place, right?
And what's the oldest and youngest of your their age range?
Oldest is 13. Our youngest just turned 7.
That's awesome. That's pretty close. I mean, it's a crazy household.
Yeah, we're busy.
Busy.
Yeah.
Everyone get along. I mean, as far as all the siblings.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all get along perfectly.
Perfectly. No
Sarcasm.
fights at all.
They love each other.
No fights at all. So we're here with Don and Jackie Clark out of Redline here in San Antonio. So let's talk a little bit about the young men and women in particular.
Yeah.
Tell us. I mean, I know because I've been there. For our listeners, what types of services do you offer, and for what sports?
Cool. And I'll start off with that one. So Redline it's all about comprehensive athletic development.
There you go.
For kids.
Okay.
And so, and when I say kids, I mean 8 to 18-year-old athletes.
Sure.
And so really, all the way from, some of the most elite kids in all of San Antonio, helping them not only achieve that scholarship opportunity to major Division I school, but get ready to go excel and compete.
Right.
All the way to, 8 and 9-year-old kids that want to stay active and want to be better on their, recreational soccer team.
Yeah.
And so we really help the gambit of all those kids, and it's about enhancing their speed, their agility, their strength, their power.
Yeah.
And it's also big on injury prevention. And so, we believe that if you're not working out, if you're not training, we call that kind of prehab, then
Absolutely.
you've got a bigger likelihood of starting to having to do rehab.
Yeah.
And we want to keep kids out of that situation and really bring their confidence to the field of play. And so we do that in our training sessions. Our facilities are really, really great. Ours here in San Antonio is about 11,000 square feet.
There you go.
We have, a half-court basketball, volleyball. We've got 35 yards of turf, batting cages, a really nice weight room. And so we believe that, we should have a great place to train. We should test their performance and how they're getting better. So, we do vertical jump, broad jump, 20-yard dash, 5, 10, 5 shuttle, all that stuff to show that they're improving. And then at the same time, our coaches are fantastic. So our standard
great coaches,
Our standards, they've got to be former collegiate or pro athletes who have college degrees.
Yep.
And so our head coach is a former Division I strength and conditioning coach, master's degree, nationally certified. So, that's really how it works. You want to talk a little bit about just how the sessions go?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get away from that, but as far as what's the biggest difference that you've seen? Because we're all relatively the same age, we're the same generation. Because I used to personally coach at TMI, Texas Military Institute.
Yeah.
I taught chemistry and I coached lacrosse and football. I have a certain opinion on how young men and women are compared to how it was when we were young. On that note, I guess my question is to both of y'all, what is the biggest, I don't want to say weakness or handicap, what is something that even with high level young athletes, what is something that is a often point of concern? Like I know, like maybe prehab, is it proper stretching, warming up? What is this new generation lazy about athletically?
I don't know if lazy. I
Or-
think one thing that we see a lot is that people specialize in a sport so young.
There we go.
They
Okay,
stick with
okay,
that sport,
okay.
and their body is moving for that sport over and over and over again.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
like when they come in our facility, depending on what sport they play,
Yeah,
they're getting a totally different use of their body in our facility.
I like that.
And that's one thing for us with our own kids is we don't want them to just do that one sport.
Play it all.
And we want their body to move in all different directions, not just run the bases that one direction.
And not just pitch, and not,
Right.
Which,
and there is science behind that, correct?
Oh, of course.
Tons of data as young men and women develop, they need to be playing multiple sports. I mean, is that correct? I mean, some of the short stuff that I've read.
Yeah, I mean, not only playing multiple sports, but just diversifying their training regimen. And what we see is that there's sort of this perhaps overinvestment in skill development, and it leads to an underinvestment in athletic development. And
What's the difference?
Well, skill development, maybe you've got a pitching coach, you've got a hitting coach, you're doing a really specific thing. You have a shooting coach,
That's for that.
that's really for that thing. But yet,
And then
who is training them on how to run properly or how to change directions safely and efficiently so you can make that play in the game?
Yeah.
And so the other thing we see is that when teams at times spend time on developing their athlete's body, it starts to lean toward conditioning. And if like you can go a long time slow and you're going to sweat and feel like you worked really hard, but did you get faster that day? And to get faster, you got to go fast.
Yeah.
To get quicker, you got to move quickly. You got to work through these things. So that's the kind of environment that Redline creates. Is it's this fun, high-paced, high-intensity environment where we work on just those things that then apply directly to the game. You think about like the spectrum of an athlete, like a volleyball player. A lot of times, a volleyball player wants to work on their vertical jump. That's really important to them. But then you start to work on some of the linear and lateral speed elements of what we do, or some of the upper body strength elements of what we do. Those tend to be areas of opportunity. Also, you look at maybe a track athlete or a cross country athlete. They can run efficiently and they look really good running. All of a sudden, we start doing some of the lateral movement and the change of direction, and it's like what is this?
What?
I run
Yeah.
straight and I turn left.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all those things come together, and every athlete's kind of got their own journey.
Sure.
And we have this kind of moniker where, every athlete sort of has their sort of like their safety zone, or where they're just not being pushed that much.
Sure.
It's like their comfort zone.
Yeah.
But then they also have like a panic zone.
Yeah.
So, in your comfort zone, you're just going to kind of check out. Maybe it's like a sort of a low intensity PE class.
Yeah.
No good. You don't want that.
Right.
Also, the panic zone this is where you're throwing me into an environment I don't know what to do.
Right.
I'm going to check out. At Redline, we call it the Redline zone is between those two. So we want to get you out of your comfort zone, keep you out of your panic zone, so we can really enhance your development. What then happens the next time you train? Your comfort zone is now grown, because now you're a little more comfortable with what we worked on last time. Your panic zone is shrunk. And so now you think about ever evolving that athlete's development by getting them into the red line zone every time they train. And that's what we really work hard on doing. That's what our coaches work on doing, and it's paying off.
And I want to highlight something that you said that I'm unclear if I've thought about it. Maybe I have, but I like how you focused on, or correct me if I'm wrong, this is the way I processed it. A young person can still focus on one specific sport, but as long as they have diverse training. Is
That's
that
right.
correct?
Yeah.
Or would you say if a young person, be it baseball or softball, say they were just loved pitching, it's what they wanted to do, and say if they are accepting diverse training, but would you encourage this person to try at least one more sport, just for the heck of it? I'm just kind of throwing a conversation out there, not about anyone in particular, just as a.
Well, using our daughter as an example, like I said, she kind of started basketball not till she was 9 or 10.
Right.
And then we let her know that she was also going to play on a softball team, which
Let her know.
Voluntold. We know Voluntold very well.
she, every day, mad.
Yeah.
She was not happy about it. And we said, play one season.
I don't mean to
Like,
laugh,
you need
but
to know how to throw, how to catch.
Sure.
Like, be an athlete.
Yeah.
Do something you're uncomfortable with.
yeah.
And if you don't like it after the one season, then you don't have to play. And what happened?
She's gotten
She's
pretty
still
good.
playing.
She's
She's
loved
still
it.
playing. It's been
That's how it
several
happens.
years,
She
and
finished the season and said, I loved it. I want to play again.
yeah.
love
So
it.
I want to answer that directly, because I don't look down upon somebody that's decided to play one sport.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important that not only for the athlete's body and their athleticism, but also for the mind. It's good to get
Yeah.
into a different environment.
I agree.
New coaches, new types of things that you're doing. It's not only fun, it's great for the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We push them. We talk a lot about doing things right or doing them again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's the character aspect of it. And I think that when they go on the field, their confidence blooms. There's a lot of, we get so much feedback that, and I think this might be some of the best feedback we get is when
Right.
a parent will say, we maybe, there was a certain way our daughter moved, and, she got a hit and was running the bases, and parents came up to us and said, holy cow,
Yeah.
what happened? She's moving so much differently.
Yeah.
And the reason is she's working on it now. That's what we do for athletes at Redline
Right.
is help them in all aspects of their athletic lives.
Yeah, and it's not to look down on any young person, but just to kind of, as these people are growing, I think exposure is good.
No doubt.
And so even if, like, to your daughter, the story about your daughter, it's like, I don't want to do it. And then the whole season goes, and it's like, yeah, I like it. And
Yeah.
so it's not looking down on them, but just kind of like encouraging them. Like if they're, a point guard, just wanted to be a point guard. And like, hey, why don't you try pitching? You're a good decision maker, or a quarterback.
Yeah.
At the gym I work out at, one of my coaches, her backstory is pretty interesting, which kind of made me think of that question. She, I won't say name of the college, but she pitched at like a Division II softball, and it was her first game, and she got recruited by a coach from a Division III school in West Virginia. She had never run track before, and she's in college. She's an 18-year-old college freshman.
Yeah.
Got recruited, decided to play Division II. She could have played Division I. Got through, finished pitching her game. Young man approached me, and she's telling me the story. She's like, Dario, I was 18. This coach was 30, but he looked like he was my age, and I didn't know if he was hitting on me and this and that, just that awkward thing. He's like, I look young, but I'm a graduate assistant. I think you can run track. She's like, I haven't run track since middle school. Anyway, she went through the process, ended up going to said school, and still holds the record for the 800 meter. You know what I mean? So I like
Awesome.
hearing stories like that. I mean, she didn't break it till her junior year, but I
Yeah.
mean, to be an 18-year-old young woman, not to have run track since she was 12 or 13, focused on softball, they said, "Hey, I'll give you money. It's Division III." She's like, "Okay." And for her to take a leap of faith
That's
at
cool.
that age, she's like, I just fell in love with track.
Yeah.
So you said the ages are from 8 to 18.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
right. That's really the
Is that
core.
flexible, or do you have a couple? I mean, I've seen some pretty athletic 6 and 7 year olds, in my time. I mean, are y'all
Yeah.
flexible? Is it that like a hard 8 to 18?
Talk about intro a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 6 is a little bit young. We do
Sure.
offer an intro to
Okay.
sports class for our 3 to 7 year olds, just exposing them to like
Yeah.
what we talked about, different sports. So we'll cover soccer, tennis, basketball,
Hmm.
volleyball, teaching them the fundamentals of those little different sports in a fun environment.
And we call that intro to sports. So we do that at all of our locations. We do it here. It was just this morning.
Hmm.
And so it is an awesome program. They have keeping it fun, and there's even counting and the learning and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Even if you're working with a 4-year-old, like left and right
Oh,
is an important
hey,
thing
yeah,
to
yeah,
learn.
it's
And you're
valid.
kind of learning that stuff in this context of sports, so we keep that really fun. So to answer your question, absolutely, there's flexibility.
Yeah,
We have
sure.
programs for that,
Hmm.
and we also have programs for adults. So
Right.
we do some stuff that works around the schedule of our core program for 8 to 18, but we do early morning stuff with adults as well.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. We can use the whole facility and really spread out and make it really different because of the sports performance type environment and equipment that we
Right.
have. So that really stands out in terms of our adult program as well.
And let me ask you this, because this happened to me when I was briefly coaching. Have you ever had a young person that you had to kind of steer them into a sport that they didn't know that they were talented at?
Hmm.
Just kind of had a young person, like say if they were, because I had this happen to me at TMI. A gentleman that had never played football, was a lacrosse player, turned out to be an incredible quarterback after several months. Have you had any situations like that, or just kind of had to redirect a young person just with their natural skill set?
Well, what generally has happened with us is less of us doing the directing, but sometimes you'll have, my son he's played baseball, but he really wants to play football.
Okay,
Can you guys help us?
gotcha.
And so what we then do is help be the tool that gets that athlete ready for maybe a sport that they
For that
haven't
sport.
tried or haven't played. So, we do one-on-one instruction. We have camps and clinics where we really focus on the skill-based aspects of different sports. And then we certainly will customize some of our training to make sure that maybe that athlete that's mostly a basketball or a baseball player can now get ready for football season.
Gotcha.
So that happens actually quite
Yeah.
a bit. We kind of help make that happen.
Absolutely. And so as we're wrapping up, um, the elephant in the room is COVID. Like we're talking
Yeah.
off camera just a little bit. How has that affected business, if any? I know a lot of the data comes out that says that young people aren't really that susceptible to it, and with their parents. Tell us a little bit about that and any precautions you guys have had to take. Because we are going to have viewers, and this is hopefully going to drive some more business and some more young people, in Redline. Tell us about the challenges that you've had to
Yeah.
overcome concerning that.
Well, I can start with that. I mean, first of all, it's impacted everybody.
Yeah.
And kind of everything. And so we take it really, really seriously. And at the same time, we think we have a responsibility
Yeah.
to help young people stay
healthy.
stay healthy,
Yeah,
stay
absolutely.
fresh, to stay on their path,
Mhm.
to achieving their goals. And we
Mhm.
don't want anybody to take 6 months off
And-
of anything.
And just like the science has proven, when we exercise it, it's good for our brain, especially
right.
young people. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, so we take a lot of precautions. We're really managing our group sizes, so we
Yep.
keep our distancing in
Mhm.
the facility. We break the kids into very small groups, and we'll even go outside The great thing about our facilities, we can really open up several of large doors that
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
make it feel like an outdoor facility
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So we keep the air flowing in there. We're checking temperatures. We're sanitizing.
11,000 square feet, and I've been there in
Absolutely.
high ceilings. It's plenty of open space. Yeah.
Yeah, so we continue to do well, not as well as we'd like to be doing or could be doing, but that's the same situation that most small businesses
Yeah.
are in.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's exactly what we are. We're a veteran owned,
Yep.
small business.
Yep.
And we've got the support of Redline as a national franchise, and
Yep.
it's been really helpful to get that context and perspective from across the country.
Yep.
But yet, as you know, it's different in not only every state, but every city.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, we're taking it really seriously and keeping our athletes at the forefront of our focus and their
Absolutely.
safety. And, our kids are working out in there too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we care a lot about every one of them, just like they're part of our family.
You're
And
not
so
going to
it's
put
been
your
good.
you're not going to put your own child in a dangerous environment. That's a
right.
perfect example.
That's right.
And so 2 years in, things are rocking and rolling. We're about to hit hopefully football and volleyball season. Um, Not to talk too much about COVID, but what are you hearing from parents and school districts about fall sports as we wrap this segment up? What are you?
I think the latest that we've heard is that it's just been pushed.
It's been
back.
pushed. Okay.
And we've got a great facility that we can help keep those athletes ready, because I feel like once they open
Once
the
they
doors
open
and they get the
everything.
green light, like, are these athletes ready to go into their sport?
So we just
Are
have
they
to
healthy?
wait.
Are they in shape? Are they strong? Can we keep them that way? That way, when they get the green light and they're ready, their bodies are ready, their mind is ready.
Stay
They're
ready at
hungry.
Redline.
There you go.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
some-
and we can do that in a safe environment.
You
It's
can.
all focused on them. And we talk a lot about return to play. It's like a
Mhm.
real thing. A lot of times it's referenced in sort of a return from injury kind of context.
Gotcha.
This notion of return to play. But if you think about, perhaps you've not been as active
Mhm.
as you normally would be, and all of
Right.
a sudden, boom, they say we can start playing now. There's a real method by which to take an athlete back into
Yeah.
their competitive environment, and so we want to help shorten that time as much as possible by
Mhm.
keeping athletes ready, and so that's what we're doing.
I love it. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say? The floor is yours. I always give the guests opportunity. If you just anything else, any saved rounds, as we say in the military.
One thing
anything.
you mentioned
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the ages, we've just been open 2 years, but we do have, we remember when we would go home
Mhm.
during the summer, during our college years, and we would have to find a place to train.
Mhm.
And we remember that it's hard to go by yourself and get your work done at the level that you need to. And so we do have college athletes that come home in the summer. Either they're returning because they trained with
Nice.
us, they're out playing their sport and they know where to come back. We're definitely open to those college athletes who are looking for a place to train.
Or semi-pro
Great.
athletes, I'm sure as
Oh, yeah,
well.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Environment that's going to push you
Yeah.
to help you stay ready for when you go back to school. We've got several seniors this year that are prepping to go to their freshman year of college, kind of not knowing
They're
what
not
to
knowing what
expect,
to do. Yeah,
but
yeah.
they are staying ready and they're in there, 4 or 5 days a week prepping, and they know exactly where they'll be when they come home for holidays or for the summer. They're going to be right
Such
back
a
in our
good
place,
point.
Yeah.
staying ready. So we do have college athletes that come home and train at our facility, and we're open to that.
And where can our listeners and viewers find you?
Oh yeah.
We're definitely going to have you back. I apologize. We're kind of having some technical difficulties, but definitely have you back in a few months. But how do they find you? Redline?
Yeah, so if you go to redlineathletics.com,
Okay.
that's where you can learn all about what we do at Redline.
All right.
And if you want to get started, we offer a free session. Come check it out.
Sure.
We'll let your athlete really experience what our
And
Redline
you're
workouts
located
are like.
1604 Lock Hill, Selma, correct?
Yeah. So up on the north side near the Rim Shopping Center, just
Okay.
inside Loop 1604. So yeah, redlineathletics.com, and you can sign up for a free workout there.
Perfect.
We'll welcome you in and show you around and tell you more about our program and get you going from there, and you won't regret it.
Well, thank you for being guest on Beyond the Field episode 2. Definitely want to have you guys back. because I want to see how things pan out, not only in the world, but the athletic environment,
Yeah.
be it high school, college, professional. So, we're in the middle of July right now. Definitely want to have you guys back in the fall, October, November time frame. Thank you so much, guys. Don and Jackie Clark from Redline. This is Dario Davis. Beyond the field, sublet of the Hustler's Huddle. God bless. Take care. We'll see you next week.